All right, in this video, we're going to introduce and start getting into the skill that is going to lead into basically how we factor pretty much any trinomial, right? So we're going to talk about factoring by grouping, okay? And so the strategy with this and the way this is going to work, and this video is just introducing the factoring by grouping, and the others will actually do it, okay? But the way this works is you want to break up, and this works when you have a polynomial for four terms, all right? So I've got 2 here and I've got 2 here, right? And so what you're looking for when you do this is you're looking for a pattern. And so the pattern I'm seeing here is if you look in this first term, this first set of 2 terms, well, 4 and 8 both have a common factor going on, right? And they don't, neither one of them really does with 3, and 8 sort of does with 6, but we're not going to get into that. What we're looking at then is my r's, and they both share an r. And then when I look at this, right, these just share a number, and so you're going to mess around sort of with grouping these in different ways to see what you can get out of it, all right? And then when you factor it, you're factoring it in pairs. You're not factoring the whole thing across, because there is no number that I can pull out of all 4 of these terms, and other than 1, and there's no variable because there isn't like a shared variable thing going on. You got a q and an r in this one, you've got r here, you've got q here, and you got nothing here. So you're kind of, you're out of luck. So the way this works then is you say, okay, I'm going to start with just this piece right here, and I'm going to pull it apart. And I know I'm doing exactly what's written here, but I think talking through it might make a little more sense. I know that 4 and 8 share 4 as a number, and I also know that they share the variable r. And then you just finish it up and you say, okay, well, that leaves q plus 2, right? Because 4r times q gives you 4qr, and 4r times 2 gives you 8r, right? Then with these last 2 terms, you look at, can I do something where I'm going to wind up with q plus 2? And if you think for a second, you go, oh yeah, because if you pull 3 out, you can get q plus 2, right? 3 times q is 3q. 3 times 2 is 6. And so now you actually have another greatest common factor that you can pull out. So now you think of this as one big term, and you think of this as one big term, and you say, what do these 2 both share? Well, they both share this. And I can pull that out front. And so instead of pulling one thing out, you're pulling this group. So I'm going to pull q plus 2 out front. And then what do I multiply to get this? Well, it's just what's left, right? And you're left with your 4r right here. And then it's plus, and then my 3. Right? And I've got this big mess, right? But we clean it up, right, in a very nice way. And this is really, honestly, the only way you can factor this. Now, I want to show you something that's not on here, okay, that I think is worth looking at. And here's the thing. What if you look at this and you say, well, you know what, I'm going to try rearranging this a different way. And so if you say, well, if I go 4qr plus 6, right, and you decide to move that, and then you go, well, then that's going to leave me 3q plus 8r, right? Now, hopefully you look at that and you realize you can't factor anything between 3 and 8 or the q and the r. And so you're like, okay, that's a no-go. That's not going to work, right? All right, let's try something else. Let's do 4qr. We tried plus 6. That didn't work. We already did 8. So let's try it with 3q, right? Well, plus 3q. And then because you're going from bigger to smaller number, I'm going to take what's left and go from bigger to smaller number. And I've got 8r plus 6. Well, I can actually, I got something shared in here. I've got the q. And I've got something shared in here. We've got the factor of 2 we can pull out. So let's mess with this and see if we can get something that's either different or close to this. And See what happens. Well, let's pull a q out, right? So that's represented right here and right here. And then what it's going to leave me with is 4r, 4 times r, and then plus 3, right? All right, well, that looks nice, but it doesn't really help us until we do something here. And so with this, we agreed earlier, or we didn't agree, I said, we can pull a factor of 2 out of 8 and 6. So I'm going to pull 2 out, and that gives me 4r plus 3. And look at that. We've got the same thing. So we can do exactly what we did here, but this time we're pulling the 4r plus 3 out front. And then what's left is q plus 2. And so we got to the same place, but doing it in a different order. So I think it's important to note that you can do these things more than one way, right? There's some ways you try to do them that they don't work, like this up here, right? That would not work in any capacity. But it worked great here, right? And it got me to the same spot. So the reason I'm showing you this is because, you know, I think it's important to note that math isn't always just one way works, right? There's multiple ways to get to it, and that's one of the things that makes math beautiful, is that it can be very creative in how you solve it. And this isn't like crazy creative, but it's definitely more creative than, oh, there's one way to do this. So I'm going to pause the video here, or stop the video, and then we'll pick up on the next video doing some examples with this.